All right, thank you very much. We are back. Next application is 69-13 for Barry and Diane Funfar. And I know that Mr. Cool wants to make a statement, and then I have a couple of introductory comments.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recuse myself from hearing 69-13.
All right, thank you very much. And Mr. Cool intends to go home and watch the Patriots game, and he's not coming back for the rest of the meeting. So we'll see you later.
Oh, yeah, that's right, so maybe I want to do that, too.
I let the air out of his tires, he can't.
All right. For those who may have just come in, I just would like to remind you all that we would like to ask for your courtesy and respect as we go through the process. We will be asking the applicant to make no more than a 15-minute initial presentation unless more time is authorized by the board. This is a matter of a private nuisance. It's not a matter of a public nuisance. It is specific to the impact of the town-owned wind turbines at 27 Ridgeview Drive, which is the residence of Barry and Diane Funfar. This is not a forum for wind energy, pro or con. It is not a forum on the town-owned wind turbines, pro or con. Those things take place in a different forum. We're focusing on the zoning bylaw, the aspect of a nuisance, and the private nuisance at this property. So with those initial comments, I'm going to ask the clerk to officially read this into the record, and then we'll ask Mr. Funfar to join us.
Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 40A of the Massachusetts General Laws, you are hereby notified that Barry and Diane Funfar of East Falmouth, Mass. Filed with the town clerk pursuant to Sections 240-204 of the Code of Falmouth and the MGL Chapter 40A, Section 8, an appeal of the Building Commissioner's determination to deny enforcement regarding nuisance and detrimental health issues created by Wind 1 and Wind 2 located at 154 Blacksmith Shop Road, East Falmouth, Mass.
Okay. Barry, you want to come on up and introduce yourself?
Mr. Chairman, can both my wife and I?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I'm Barry Funfar, 27 Ridgeview Drive, and
Diane Funfar, 27 Ridgeview Drive.
I wish all I was doing here was adding another bedroom or something. But we're before this board appealing our nuisance claim of March 11th, 2013. We listed the turbines as being a nuisance to us for nearly every day they have run, starting in April of 2010, when we were first at home to hear it. We are now in our dream home number 2 on the same foundation as the first house after a fire in 1999. We purchased this property in 1978 when my gardening landscape work began, and we moved into our self-built dream home number 1 in early 1982. We came here from Fargo, North Dakota with our young family to put down roots because of the great reputation of the Falmouth schools, plus my wife's family had owned property and summered here since 1904. We have now lived in Falmouth for 34 years. Before the turbines began running, we had an environment that we considered healthy and very enjoyable. We expected to live out our retirement on this property. When the turbines were first turned on, it took my wife Diane several months to distinguish the turbine noise from other noises. Working in my garden, I was bothered by the sounds of Wind 1 the very first day it operated. Not the first day it was turned on, but the first day I was home when it operated. I just thought that something was out of adjustment or whatever, that surely no one could put up with this. My wife has a couple of words, and then I'll talk.
The wind turbine noise was immediately bothersome to Barry. though for the first month he attempted to acclimate to it, even enlisting the help of his counselor at the VA. Now I look back to this as the beginning of the extermination of our health and quality of life in Falmouth. Barry had spent 32 years creating a beautiful yard and woodland garden and worked out there every minute he could for relaxation and therapy for his PTSD. 3 times his garden was shown for local fundraisers. As his exposure to the turbines lengthened, his tolerance for the noise diminished, and soon he was in depression and unable to work outside at all. He had been diagnosed with combat PTSD in 2003 and had been receiving treatment twice a week since then. The medications and therapy he received had transformed him into a different person, a happy person. With the exposure to the turbines, all that changed. Our life was turned upside down. I witnessed his decline, his worsening irritability, anger, anxiety, heart palpitations, increased blood pressure, drinking, severe depression, and he became difficult to live with. His doctor increased his medications and told him he should not live close to one of these turbines. We have lived in our home for 32 years and love our house and property. Our grandchildren live less than 1/2 a mile away. It is extremely stressful to have to think about moving away from our home to lead a normal life again. There is no getting accustomed to the noise from these machines. Barry is certain that his life has been severely shortened by the stress and anxiety coupled with his increased heart problems and PTSD. For myself, I have been a contact lens wearer for over 42 years. 2.5 years ago, I began to experience an eye discharge, eye irritability, and headaches, which have worsened over time. My eye doctor prescribed Restasis, an expensive eye drop, but it has not helped. I had to stop wearing the contacts altogether. I never connected this problem to the turbines until February of 2012, when we attended a meeting with the state's experts panel in Boston on the health effects of industrial turbines. Dr. Wendy Heiger-Bernays, the only MD on the panel, listed the health effects reported to be caused by living too close to wind turbines. Eye discharge was one of them. At the end of February 2012, we went to Southeast Asia for 6 weeks. And even though the air quality is much less than perfect there, my eyes cleared up. Upon returning home, the problem has reoccurred and I cannot wear my contact lenses. We are being tormented by these machines. If this does not constitute being a nuisance, what could?
Excuse me, I have a tiny bit of a cold. These industrial wind turbines have changed their previous healthy environment to one polluted with amplitude-modulated, low-frequency, and infrasonic noise that is unquestionably being emitted by the Falmouth municipal wind turbines. Some of this noise is audible, while the very low frequencies cannot be heard but are felt. 16% of the population is about 6 decibels more sensitive than the median, and 2% is 12 dB more sensitive. As time went on, it was obvious to Diane and I that one becomes increasingly sensitized and annoyed by the wind turbine emissions. Loudness is not the issue. I do not care about sound and noise studies. The measurements taken at my house showed 3 exceedances out of 5 measurements, but the average was below the magic threshold of 10 dB. We are human beings with perceptions unmatched by the measurement tools being used. Also, the sound is coming from a highly elevated position, 400 feet in the air, and taking measurements under a canopy of trees is not where the measurements should be taken. Wind turbine noise is not masked by highway and other noises like the birds, heat bugs, traffic, and sounds of nature. We human beings do not perceive sound in averages. We can hear the peaks and the amplitude modulation, and we can feel the very low frequencies as flutter or quivering in our body. We can see and feel the flicker effect. Wind turbine noise is an irregular, very uneven, pulsating noise, with the greatest variation in peak levels occurring below 100 hertz. We are 10 times more tolerant of transportation noise than of wind turbine noise. To create a close encounter for yourself, providing your automobile is a four-door with openable rear windows, set a speed of 35 to 40 miles an hour. Then tune the driver's side rear window for maximum flutter effect. You perhaps already know this. To me, it is like being invaded by little green aliens. Then proceed to drive continuously for 3.5 years. You should by then at least partially understand what we are grieving, complaining about. No other concentration is possible, and the quasi-nauseous effect will be quite evident to many people as it is to us. In myself, both the audible and inaudible fluctuating pressure waves create severe stress, followed by anxiety and a host of other ailments. It also indirectly activates the nervous system, causing increased secretion of adrenaline with consequent stress effects, panic, anxiety, high blood pressure, and double the risk of heart attacks for people such as myself having migraines with aura. The normal adrenaline level of a person with PTSD is highly elevated without any additional stress factors. It isn't like it knocks you down once and it is over. The feeling that all the air has been sucked out of me and I'm nauseated and feeling totally incapacitated. A strange sensation, trembling, unsteadiness, feeling something is wrong with myself as disagreeable vibrations with internal pulsations or quivering settle in my chest. This would happen over and over again. It is not a pleasant experience, so I learned to avoid the machines. My safe zone does not include my own home or property. This is an involuntary exposure. We did not volunteer for this. The wind turbines came to us. A train comes and then it goes away. The nuisance from these wind turbines is continuous. It does not stop even when the blades quit spinning. When will it start up again? There is always that fear of knowing it will soon start up. At 27 Ridgeview Drive, our property, it is not a case of being a little bothered once in a while. This is a major life-altering, continuous event. We have lost the enjoyment of our home. Our home has 4 decks on it, including the rooftop deck, and we can't enjoy it. I don't remember the last time we were out there. We just don't use them anymore. Sun tanning, reading, resting outside are gone. All home improvements have been put on hold. I cannot work outside in my house, such as painting or landscaping, or playing with the grandkids. The wind turbines have eliminated the potential of my garden of listening to the songbirds and throwing the friendly catbirds a worm. This has been a complete lifestyle change from being outside every day to being inside at my desk. The sounds of nature are overwhelmed by the wind turbines. There is no concentration possible on anything other than the turbines. It is all turbine, and it is maddening. It is like having distress, stress, and anxiety shot at us with a gun. There are jerky spasms of silence, and then a return with a doubling in vengeance. The joy of returning home after being away has been taken away. With so much added stress and anxiety, all the difficulties in life are amplified. We are also afraid of the unknown long-term effects of being too close. I already know and feel that my life has been shortened. I am being increasingly agitated with this nuisance taking over my life. There are many damaged relationships, husband, wife, friends, neighbors, and townspeople. There's the frustration with money versus health. The effects of these wind turbines has been devastating to my family and myself. And I'm sparing you a repeat of my medical problems that I had in my medical pile of information that I submitted. I submitted to this board my medical history, my diagnosis, letters from my medical providers, and a list of the medications I am prescribed. I also submitted to this board a copy of my 512-page testimony outlining my complaints to the Massachusetts expert panel on health effects of turbines on people who live too close to them. We have submitted countless letters of complaint to every pertinent town and state official. And if you've looked in the box I brought, it's like there's some pretty hefty piles of like my complaint pile to the town and state officials. I didn't count them. You can count them if you like to. There's a lot of them, 150, 200. I mistakenly had thought that the town's officials looked out for the health and welfare of we citizens, and that the state Department of Environmental Protection and the State Department of Health were there to protect us. All I found was to be sent back home with more frustrations. Many letters have been sent to our own Board of Health, plus that board took official testimony on our turbine-generated ill effects. Gail Harkness, chairman of our Board of Health, at the Selectmen's Wind Turbine Forum, detailed a long list of turbine-related problems experienced by wind turbine neighbors, including ourselves. I also submitted many letters to your board that I had sent to friends and others since the problem started that pertain to my negative experiences with living too near these turbines. There was a 2-year moratorium while the planning board worked on a new, very restrictive bylaw for wind turbines in Falmouth. And after the wind turbine series of meetings, the selectmen voted unanimously to shut down the turbines. Additional stress comes from being whipsawed by this town. What hours will the turbines run, or if or when we will be forced out of our home? We know we cannot live as presently with the machines operating and continue to live and continue to leave our home for extended periods of time to regain our senses. The travel's great. We have attended countless meetings at both the state and local level, plus many phone calls, so much wasted time. It seems that everything I say, I have already said more than 100 times. This is not simple annoyance. These machines continue to wear us down with ever more medical monitoring and appointments, worry and inconvenience. It is a roller coaster of emotional disturbance. We expect there would be a significant financial and emotional loss if we have to sell our home because of these wind turbines. We have built up our home and property over the last 35 years. The wind turbines came to us and have solidly proved themselves as an overbearing nuisance to my family and myself at 27 Ridgeview Drive. The feeling I have of losing my previous spirit for this home and gardens is my biggest loss of all. I really wonder if it could ever be regained. The possibility of happiness has largely ended at this residence. I believe that the most reliable truth comes from accumulated experience and observation. Diane and I have lived the before and after the placement of these turbines, and we have been living this nightmare for now 3.5 years. I'm going to mention suicide since this is Suicide Prevention Month in Falmouth, and there have been suicides with wind turbine annoyance given as the cause. There, in fact, was one attempted in this town. Having chronic PTSD, I survived many years of severe depression and morbid thoughts. and I have been chastised for mentioning this subject in the past. I have spoken with 3 individuals who have expressed suicidal feelings over these turbines. Please know that this is a very sad state of existence. To me, with this turbine issue, there is a sucking emptiness, a vacuum of missing humanity of man towards man. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Barry.
Do you have any questions? Or?
I'm sure we will. Let me just go over what we're going to try to do, okay, and I'll do it just briefly. There are no comments from any other town departments in here. There is no correspondence to review. We do have a substantial amount of information that you did provide to us. So what we'll do is the board will ask you some questions. After that, we're going to ask Mr. Gore to comment as he's here, and he made the original determination, because just as everyone knows, this is an application to overturn the decision made by Mr. Gore. And so after we ask the questions, we'll turn to the town for their comments, because they're opposing your application, and then we'll ask for comments that are specific to your property. So with that, if you don't mind, we'll start with some questions. And Ken, you want to start us off?
I'm not going to ask any questions right now.
Okay. David?
Sure.
First, thank you for your service, Mr. Funfar.
Thank you.
I second that.
You said you gave, tons of complaints. How many did you file with Mr. Gore?
I filed 2 there. I wasn't aware of that process, and the first one was, I think, January 9th, 2013, and that I received a prompt letter back from Mr. Gore and stating the reasons for overturning that, for denying it. And then we submitted another one on March 11th, and did follow through, and after we received that denial, we followed through within the 30 days to file the appeal.
Okay. And I noticed in Mr. Gore's decision back to you that he was asking that he'd take into consideration any other studies. Did you submit anything like that to Mr. Gore to refer?
I have. I haven't submitted anything to Mr. Gore. I have to say that, I don't know if I should say it or not, but I sent 4 letters after the 14 days was up that I understood the building department, building commissioner had to respond, and I didn't receive the denial until 88 days after I had filed.
I saw that in the file, thank you. And the noise exceedances, you said there was 3 on your property?
Correct. That was a DEP study, but they averaged it out, and it went below the, they had, the highest one was 11.5, and I think one was 10.5, and then remarkably, 2 of them that took the average way down were like 5 point something each. It's like, I don't understand it.
Did you get any responses from the Board of Health regarding any violations that might have occurred on your property?
I have never received anything from the Board of Health.
And let me see. You mentioned in your appeal of the building commissioner, you mentioned about financial hardship, and then you spoke of it a couple times, financial and emotional loss, money versus health. Can you just talk about that? What do you mean by financial hardship?
Well, first of all, we don't want to move. It's like, well, I can say I have wanted to move for some time, but my wife has overruled me. And I expect that we could never rebuild the place for, what it would sell for. I don't think even close, because, you keep nailing up the 2x4s, and I had the town assessor's department when we had a realtor come, and it was like ridiculously low, like $429,000 she wanted to list it at. And I had the assessor assessor come out, because the town had us at 600 and some thousand valuation. And so I had him come out, and after he went over everything, and unbeknown to me, when our house was rebuilt in 1999, after it had burned down, we submitted the plans to the town, and the upstairs, the third, fourth floor, whatever it is, was finished, and the assessing department didn't know that. So when the assessor, and I can't recall his name right now, but he said, oh, I'm raising it by 88,000. So it's like, it had been 700 and some thousand was the highest I think it ever was a value. But I consider we would have great financial loss if we had to move from that house and buy a replacement. What we would get for, you know, our selling price we couldn't buy a house like that. And on the health versus the money versus health issue, to me that's like a town type thing where it's like it all comes, all the meetings we've gone to, it's like it comes down to money. And it's like, oh, we have to run them 80%, you know, to recoup, you know, so we can gain some money here, like 700,000 after 10 years to mitigate with. But the whole formula seems absurd to me.
Just two more things. You mentioned shadow flicker. When does that occur and what times of the day?
Well, it would be, did we ever have shadow flicker at night?
No. We would only get it, we only get it certain times a year when the sun happens to line up behind the turbine, and it would be in the fall. But there are so many cloudy days in the fall that when we get shadow flicker, it's bad, but we don't get it often.
We haven't been home.
And we haven't been home.
As much as we've been traveling, we have not been home when that has generally been occurring. If you look through my complaints, stack of complaints, there might be 10 in there about shadow flicker. And I don't recall what the dates were. I never kept a calendar like some people have.
And I apologize not for seeing that information on it. You submitted 35 pounds of paperwork. I
It
haven't.
was only 32.
And I apologize for not going through all that completely, but I will get to that, I'm sure. And just one other thing, even though it's not, this turbine is not a part of your appeal, but you don't even get into that.
Thank you.
All right. I think I'm done then for now.
Okay.
Well, can I say one thing? It's not, I don't think it's anything bad, but when both Wind 1 and Wind 2 are off, I can hear the web turbine,
That's not part of
48 sub.
That's not part of
Okay,
the appeal, okay,
fine.
Barry?
It doesn't
you.
bother me. It
Yeah,
doesn't bother me.
it's not part of the appeal, so that's why
Okay.
I didn't want that question to go
All
forward.
right, I'm
and
sorry.
We're not talking about it. Okay, Scott?
Mr. Funfer, I'm going to ask you to forgive me for this line of questioning, but I have to ask you some of these questions, okay?
Okay,
When were you diagnosed with PTSD?
2003.
You were in the military?
I was in Vietnam, 19 months, helicopter door gunner.
Do you have any other triggers from PTSD that aren't associated to this complaint?
Well, noise is the worst one, I would say. Like, I have run out of Home Depot when the backup beeper goes off, and having a cart full of stuff. And barking dogs they can get to me, and but how many dogs bark 12 hours a day? You know, it's like, so to me, that's nothing compared to what the wind turbine has put on us.
And I'm going to let you know that my heart is beating through my chest when I ask you this question. Do you have any idea what pressure you put on me when you mentioned suicide or talking about suicide in your presentation. As how,
I think there should be an awareness of it.
I'm not a doctor, and I think that is a greater issue than anything we're talking about. That's a very serious claim to propose to this board and have us consider. I am not, and I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, this has twisted me up tight right now. I haven't thought of anything else but that statement since you said it, and I just want you to know, or ask you what pressure that you just placed on me privately, and I don't know about the other board members, but.
Well, I can say I'm sorry for that, but
Well, I'm
I think
sorry,
it is, it's there. And to deny it, I don't think is right, because, as I said in my presentation, I have talked to 3 people who talked about it, and I have a long history of being very close before 2003. And it's like, it's empathy, I think, that's why I will talk about it. I think it's something that should be talked about.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fontaine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Would that person please leave the room? Kindly. Dan, would you ask that lady to please leave?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Very sorry.
All right. Thanks, Barry and Diane. A couple of things. Likewise, I have to say that in going on 10 years of being on this board, this is the first time I've come to a hearing not having read all of the information that's there, that's been presented. It has been impossible to do that in the past week. But given that, is there some pieces of that submission that you really want to focus our attention on? I know in your application you had talked about information from your doctor, and there was a letter from somebody from the VA. Are there certain pieces of that? I know a lot of it relates to wind turbines in general, about wind turbine syndrome, noise, impact, etc. But specifically as it relates to the 2 of you at your property, are there certain things that you really want to focus us on?
Sure.
I think the important thing is when Barry finally got diagnosed from PTSD in 2003, and he went to the VA 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week, and he was on group therapy and seeing counselors and medication. He was a different person than he had been his whole life. He was happy, he was enjoying his grandkids. His symptoms had disappeared. He had so many anger issues and they were gone. And then the turbine started up and he just went backwards. And
I understand that, Diane, but in the documentation that was submitted in the carton,
Oh.
is there any particular documents that you want to focus us on? I mean, you've given it to us, we'll get to all of it, but I think somehow in order to capture, not to diminish any of the things that you've said, but documentation of what you've been saying, is there anything you want to focus us on?
Well, I think if my complaint letters were read and my letters to various state and town officials, you would, I would think, get a feeling of where I was coming from with, well, the reason for the complaints and how it was disrupting our lives. And it just really, like Diane had said, it has like turned us upside down, and it's like now there isn't anything else. It's wind turbine.
Sure. Then let me try to ask you a couple of specific questions on
Okay.
some of the things you mentioned, and that may help us focus on some of the documentation. I know that there was a letter from a doctor at the VA, and that was a recent letter.
Three, in fact. One a medical doctor, and then 2 or 3 others that were like PhD counselors and that kind of thing.
Right. And they were were they documenting what the impact of the wind turbine was on your mental health?
Well, I think it was because I, complain about it so much, for one thing. And, but with the stress and, you know, the trigger issues, you know, it's there. And, you know, I don't know how else it was a cause for
So we've got some
relapse.
letters from the doctors.
Right.
We'll focus on that.
Also, you have my complete medical history from the last, it would only go back 3 years, so you have that.
Fine. You mentioned, Barry, about heart problems. Is there any letter or correspondence from a cardiologist or a doctor that focuses on your heart that, again, talks about the turbine's impact on
They
your...
do not mention the turbines. They just mention my CAD, coronary artery disease, and they do mention my migraines with aura, which is a complication factor for being twice as likely to have certain types of heart attack.
Okay. And Diane, you mentioned about your eye problems. Is there any document in that, in the material that was submitted from an eye doctor, ophthalmologist, optometrist?
No, there's
Okay.
nothing in there.
All right.
The eye doctors actually are quite baffled. I don't think they would say that this is caused by wind turbines, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't know it was a symptom of living near a wind turbine until I went to that meeting in Boston. But it seems strange that it goes away when I leave home, so.
Okay. You also mentioned that you can't enjoy any of the outside of your house, the decks, the yard, et cetera. Is there similar problems inside the house?
No, but it's like, I feel like I'm a prisoner in the house, and well, the turbines haven't run at night for quite a long time now, and, well, my problems with sleep were more complicated than being able to, like, say it's the wind turbine. It's like, I now have a CPAP machine, I have sleep apnea, and I sleep with a white noise machine, and I've often had trouble with sleep, but I think it's more mental.
And again, I appreciate your strength in standing up and sharing all of these things with the public. But on the suicide ideation, you mentioned about having other individuals talk to you about those feelings. Are those things that you've also experienced?
I have.
Okay, thank you. The DEP, you mentioned the noise exceedances.
I have to say that at the VA, you have to be careful what you say, or they like lock you up.
All right, we'll be cautious, okay. On the DEP study, Barry, and you mentioned that there were several determinations that were above the 10 decibels. Was this specific to your property?
So, right, the measurements were taken on my property.
And do we have a copy of that in the documentation?
I have, no, I do not have a copy of that.
Okay. Now, you mentioned about the averages, and I understand all of that, but were there also any determinations of what the difference was above the ambient noise? I know you're talking about the 10, which is, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, referring to the DEP policy about exceeding 10. But was there anything in terms of the difference between the ambient noise and the noise when it was tested?
I don't think those numbers were great. And it's like, to me, that noise part is so complicated that, you know, dBs and pascals and pressure and frequency and so many variables.
That's
I don't know, I could...
That's fine. But you don't have a copy of that study?
No, I do
anyway.
not.
Okay. In moving on to the financial hardships that were related to the house, and I certainly can understand your feelings on that, but you mentioned that there was one realtor that looked at listing the house for, I think you said $429,000.
Something like that.
Yeah. Do you have that listing or the proposal to list the house that you could provide us?
I may, I just have to smile because I have so many stacks of papers in my
I'm
house
sure.
right now that,
And we do too now. But, and I guess what I'm trying to get at is, was that listing price based on comparables that were sales in your neighborhood or outside of the neighborhood?
I don't think we went that far with it. And I think she was like ballparking it because when she came back to speak with me, and it's like, I kind of, no way, and well, I'll see what I can do kind of thing. But
So it
I
wasn't-
sort of dropped it right
Yeah.
there.
It wasn't an official appraisal then, it was just a
Well,
discussion?
no, I have an official appraisal. I refinanced, and that is like, I think it's 800 and some thousand.
When was that done?
Early 2012.
Could you provide us a copy of that?
That I'll
Okay.
be able to find, not in 2 minutes. But,
No. Okay. So the questions I have right now, thank you very much. Any other questions from board members? Sari, anything?
No, I have nothing, thank you.
All right, thank you both very much.
Thank
We're
you
gonna-
for listening to us.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to ask Mr. Gore to come up and comment on his determination, okay? And then
What was that?
we're going to ask Mr. Gore to
Okay.
make some comments, and then we'll turn to Mr. Duffy. Claudio, thank you.
For the record, my name is Eladio Gore, Building Commissioner, Town of Falmouth. And I'll make my comments very brief. My comments, my determination that there was no violation of Section 240-110 of the zoning bylaw was based on the information that was provided to me, which was anecdotal information from Mr. Funfar. And I've had a number of conversations with Mr. Funfar. And Mr. Funfar, on the second complaint that I answered, did provide me with a letter from a doctor dated July 2nd, 2010. And the letter did not directly state that the symptoms or the issues that he was having was directly related to or was being caused by the turbines. It did seem to indicate that it may be exacerbated, but there was no medical evidence that was provided to me that directly tied those symptoms to the wind turbines. And therefore, and also the DEP study did not indicate that there was any exceedance in their regulations. And so therefore, I determined that there was no violation of this. I would like to, state very clearly, and I have indicated this to Mr. Funfar personally, that I am in no way disputing Mr. Funfar's symptoms and the things that he's experiencing. And I feel very badly that he or anyone else is experiencing anything of that nature. My position is simply to look at information that's provided, look at the bylaw, and determine whether or not, in my opinion, there is a violation of the bylaw, based on the information that I have at hand. That was the only information that I had at hand. I did, again, visit that area, and again, it's my feeling that it's not a determination of whether or not I am affected by anything that someone makes a complaint about, whether it's the turbines, whether it's lights, noise, or other things. It's not, I don't believe that it's whether or not I'm annoyed by it that I make a determination. My determination is based on information that I'm provided and looking at the zoning bylaw to see whether there's a violation. So whether I'm affected by it or not, in my opinion, is irrelevant. And therefore, my decision is based solely on information that I had at hand and looking at the bylaw.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Gore?
I don't have any.
Ken?
You based your conclusion about whether the noise level rises to the standard of a nuisance on the DEP 10 decibel
Yes, I
range.
did.
Does our bylaw specifically?
No, it does not. The bylaw doesn't give us any direction.
Okay. That's all.
David?
Good evening, Mr. Gore. My question is with regards to that second complaint that was submitted March 11th, 2013. It took you 88 days to respond to Mr. Funfar. Was it normally? Isn't it a 14-day?
No, that's not true, sir.
Not true? And so there's no limit on responses?
That's correct.
And my second question, just to follow up with that, you said you met with town council about his complaint and you respond to him. Is that normal practice, that when someone complains, you speak with town council, then get back to him?
In some cases I do, and especially since I had already made a determination that was not appealed. And so this was a second complaint.
Same complaint.
Same complaint. So the question was, where do we stand? It was not appealed. There was that appeal period that had come and gone, but it was determined that because some additional information, which was that doctor's letter, was added to the second complaint, I then responded.
And that was the only other information provided?
That's correct.
Thank you.
No, that's the only different information from what was
First complaint.
from the first complaint.
Thank you.
Claudia, do you have a copy of the DEP study that you used?
With me tonight? No, I do not.
Do you have a copy?
Oh, yes,
Yeah, could you provide the board with that?
sure.
All right. Do you have a copy of the letter that you referenced of July 2, 2010 from the doctor? Not that he has to have it tonight, but if you do have it, could you provide us with a copy of that?
I have it here. I can give you I can get
Oh,
you a
that's
copy.
great. Thank you. If it's your only copy,
It's my only copy, but I'll make a copy and leave it before I go.
well, yeah, that's fine, or at some other date, because we'll want the DEP study too, so, all right, thank you. Sir, any questions?
No, thank you.
Eladio? All right, thank you very much, Eladio. Mr. Duffy?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. If I may, I'm going to hand to Suri a copy of the remarks that I'll be making, and attached to it is a copy of that DEP study that you just asked Mr.
Great.
Gore for. So,
Would you mind terribly if you handed it to us and we can then stamp it in for the record?
sure.
Thank you.
I'll give you multiple copies. I'll leave a
Oh,
copy
perfect.
on file before.
Excellent.
Before they go home.
Thanks very much, Frank.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm Frank Duffy, Town Council. The Town of Falmouth is the owner of Win 1 and Win 2, and on behalf of the owner, I am here to make some remarks tonight. The building commissioner's response of June 7, 2013 to Mr. Funfar's complaint was appropriate. He found no violations of either the zoning bylaw or of the Mass DEP noise policies and regulations as he so stated. A copy has been submitted to the record now. The building commissioner's determination was correct, and I think you should affirm it. As you correctly noted at the beginning of this hearing, Mr. Chairman, this is a limited appeal to the property on Ridgeview Drive owned by Barry and Diane Funfar, and is not a referendum on wind turbines. Section 240.110 of the Falmouth Zoning Bylaw is one of the more problematic sections of the zoning bylaw. It says that no use shall be permitted which would be offensive because of injurious or obnoxious noise, and it goes through a number of other features, including vibrations and so forth, or other objectionable features, or be hazardous to the community on account of fire or explosion or any other cause. Now, first of all, I'd like to point out that as the complainant, it is Mr. and Mrs. Funfar's duty and obligation, in fact, to offer or to bear the burden of proving that there is a violation of this bylaw. And simply standing before you and iterating basically opinions and conclusions, I think falls short of meeting that burden of proof. But of course, that is a decision that, you know, ultimately this board is going to have to make as to the quantity of proof that's necessary. Section 240-110 contains no definitions of the terms that are contained therein. The term of what is injurious and obnoxious are both very subjective terms. They can mean one thing to one person, another thing to another, and you might not find agreement in the whole community as what is injurious or obnoxious under any given set of circumstances. But there is a, in Massachusetts case law, there is a standard for private nuisance, and that is when a property owner, such as the town, creates, permits, or maintains a condition on its property which causes substantial and unreasonable interference with the use and enjoyment of property of another. Two prongs to that test, substantial and unreasonable. If you look at the issue of substantial, and you take into account the fact that Mr. Gore has cited the Mass DEP study, which a copy is on record here, they found no violation of the Mass DEP policy or guidelines. Those policy and guidelines suggest that there's a violation if the noise coming from a particular activity exceeds the background noise, or ambient noise as it is called, by 10 decibels. There was no violation in this particular case. And I'll have a little bit more specific information on that in a few minutes. There's also been, there also must be a showing that the use of the property by the town is an unreasonable use of the property. I would suggest that the use of the 314-acre parcel on Blacksmith Shop Road for wind turbines is an appropriate use. The location of the property is important. It is a public use district. A public use district is that district under the zoning bylaw where the town or municipality locates its infrastructure. There's a wastewater treatment plant there. There's a dog pound there. In other public use districts, there are public works garages. There are police stations and so on and so forth. These are uses that many people consider to be perhaps incompatible with quiet residential neighborhoods, but nevertheless, they have to be located someplace. And in Falmouth, they're located in public use districts. There's a case called Casper versus H.B. Hood, which says that what is objectionable in one place may be reasonable in another. I'm going to quote, "There is no hard and fast rule as to what does and what does not constitute a nuisance. It is largely a matter of degree and the relationship of various factors to each other. That a noise is disagreeable or disturbing to ordinary people is not enough. It must be unreasonable under all the circumstances, and the character of the locality is a circumstance of great importance." Now, Mr. Funfar has explained to you that he has what I would consider to be a pre-existing condition. He has PTSD. This is a very real condition. Some people are affected by it, many are not. But the test of whether or not there is a nuisance is measured by an ordinary person and not by somebody with a pre-existing condition. You can have people with all kinds of pre-existing conditions that find annoyances that other people may not. The fact that he has it, bless the man for the service that he has given to his country, as Mr. Zielinski has mentioned. But it is a pre-existing condition which should not necessarily be considered in determining what is a nuisance, because the standard is a reference to an ordinary person. The nuisance must be a nuisance under all of the circumstances. Mr. Funfar admitted to you tonight that he really doesn't hear the noise from the turbines in the house. It's mostly outside the house. These turbines are also only operated 12 out of 24 hours. They're turned off at night. So under the totality of circumstances here, what is annoying to Mr. Funfar and Mrs. Funfar, and what is disturbing to them, is not a situation that is occurring constantly all the time. I know it's on their mind all the time, but the condition that they're complaining about is not taking place all of the time. The wind turbines also provide a legitimate public function. As you know, they provide power to run the wastewater treatment facility and generate revenue to offset the other energy-related expenses of the town. There is also, in considering what is a nuisance, what has been referred to as a governmental license defense. The use of this land, the 314 acres on Blacksmith Shop Road, for wind turbines has been expressly authorized by numerous government acts. There are 7 town meeting votes that have authorized the town to design and construct and finance the wind turbines at this location. There are also 2 special acts of the Massachusetts legislature authorizing the town to operate wind turbines on the site. These legislative events are clear indications of a valid public purpose. Wind 1 and Wind 2 were built under the authority of building permits issued by Mr. Gore, the building commissioner. We know there was a challenge of those building permits. We know that a Superior Court judge found that the building permits were valid. The case is under appeal to the appeals court, but the latest, most recent ruling we have is that they are valid building permits. I mentioned to you when I was here earlier on another case, the case of the Logan Airport, where an open-air theater in the city of Boston tried to shut down Logan Airport because the noise of planes landing at the airport interrupted the open-air theater. The Supreme Judicial Court held that a public instrumentality operating with legislative approval cannot be held responsible for a nuisance. The operation and extension or enlargement of Logan by the Massport Authority, the very activity of which the plaintiffs complain, being expressly authorized by the legislature, the plaintiff's action predicated on a nuisance theory must fail. It is a principle of long-standing in the law of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that when the legislature directs or allows that to be done which would otherwise be a nuisance, it will be valid upon the grounds that the legislature is ordinarily the proper judge of what is the public good. Wind 1 and Wind 2 do not violate the terms of any existing permit. They do not violate the terms of any bylaw. The town of Falmouth bylaw does not have specific thresholds for noise in the zoning bylaw. There's no special permit with conditions that is being violated. Now, in November of 2012, the Mass DEP conducted and released a sound survey of the wind turbines during daylight hours. Remember that they have been operating only during the day for the last year or so. The Mass DEP policy and regulation determined that there is a noise violation when noise from the wind turbine operation exceeds background noise by 10 decibels. On page 2 of the report, which you have, the result of the field sampling indicate that during the daytime period, the combined operation of Wind 1 and Wind 2 does not exceed 10 decibels above background sound levels. So they found no violation. That's on page 2. I'd like you to refer, for your future reference, if you have time to look at it, page 9 of the same report. There's a summary, and it shows that on 2 occasions, there were readings taken. They're reported in the report. On 2 occasions, there were readings taken at Blacksmith Shop, at 27 Ridgeview in Falmouth. And the first occasion, which was the 31st of May 2012, the difference determined by the DEP was 4.2 decibels. Now, Mr. Funfar's home has a relatively high ambient noise level. It's 50 decibels, which is higher than any other of the locations cited, but that, I believe, is probably due to the fact that he's fairly close to the highway. The second study took place on June 5th of 2012, and the difference between ambient and the impact sound was 4.0 decibels, way below the 10 reported, or that the DEP considers to be a violation. Now, the Mass DEP study took into account the operation of both Wind 1 and Wind 2. When we were here some time ago with the Anderson complaint, and in the decision, the board chose not to follow the DEP study, and you gave 3 reasons for that. First of all, you found that the study, you thought it was outdated. Secondly, the regulations and policy guidelines were not specific to wind turbines. And third, the DEP said it was considering amending the regulations. Well, yeah, the DEP has said it's considering amending the regulations, but the fact of the matter is it has not done so. And until it does so, we live by the existing regulations. And I would urge that absent some amendment or change to these regulations, this board follow those regulations also. There was a suggestion in the previous decision that a more adequate finding, a more adequate standard would be 6 decibels above ambient, because there's a reference to the amendment to the Falmouth Zoning Bylaw passed at the April 2013 annual town meeting. It's not appropriate. That standard was introduced in 2013. We're talking about wind turbines that were built by building permits issued in 2009 and in 2011. You look at the standard that was applicable at the time the building permits were issued. In any event, the 6 decibel limit isn't going to help you here, because both of the readings from DEP are below the 6 decibel limit. There was a brief mention of flicker. It's a transitory phenomenon. It's very limited in time. Mrs. Funfar said it only impacts them occasionally. We have a situation here where the use of the property is certainly not unreasonable. And while there may be impacts upon the Funfars, and we're not saying there are none, but there's not enough evidence for the court to find, for the board here to find that they are substantial and unreasonable under all of the circumstances. And therefore, I would urge that the board give consideration to this, look at all the evidence that I saw that 32-pound bag box that Mr. Funfar dropped off, and credit to you if you read it all. But give consideration to all the facts, and I think you will agree and affirm the decision of the building commissioner. Thank you.
Any questions of Mr. Duffy?
No, at this time, thanks.
All right, thank you, Frank.
Okay.
All right, we're going to go to the public comment period, and we're going to start with those that are in opposition to the application. That means supporting Mr. Gore's determination. Okay? And again, I'm looking for any comment that is specific to this particular property. Mr. Patamas.
I have a question first. Jerry Patamas, Precinct 2, Town Meeting Member. Under the nuisance provisions, do you evaluate speculation on the loss of value of a home? The reason I bring this up, I'm assuming it's true. I read in the newspaper that there was a property on Ambleside Road that went for $70,000 above the assessed value of the house. We all speculate on our houses, and I think we all hope our houses go for more, and sometimes our neighbors' houses go for more, and we're surprised.
You had a question. The
Yes.
question was, is the board going to consider? Under 240-110, the board is instructed to look at the destruction of property values.
Okay, so it will, then I would,
So the board will look at that question.
then I'd
It's
like
pretty-
to enter into, at least from my opinion, that there's, according to the Falmouth Enterprise,
So,
there was a
can I
reason.
just back up for a moment? You had a question.
Yes.
Now you want to comment?
Yes, now I want to
in support of Mr. Gore or in opposition
Yes.
of the application? Okay, thank you.
Based on the information I read in the Falmouth Enterprise, there was a very recent sale of property, I believe it was in Ambleside Road, that sold for above the assessed value of the property. That's real and it's contemporary, and it's not speculative.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Anyone else in opposition to the application? Support of Mr. Gore? Okay. We'll turn to those that are in support of the application, in favor of the application, overturning Mr. Gore's decision. I would ask that you try not to be repetitive. The board does not make its decisions based on the quantity of the presentations, but on the quality of the presentations. So if we could keep it focused on 27 Ridgeview, we'll go from there. Who would like to be first? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I don't recognize you, so if you would just introduce yourself.
I'd be glad to.
Thank you.
Lillian Green, Wellfleet.
I'm sorry?
I'm from Wellfleet.
Okay. We're going to limit this to folks from the town of Falmouth, okay?
Okay. I just wanted to make just one comment, that's all.
No, we're going to limit it to the folks from the town of Falmouth.
That's totally
okay?
fine, I understand.
All right. Anyone else in support of this application? Malcolm, do you have your hand up?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have two questions, no, I have one question for Mr. Duffy through the board. Mr. Duffy appears to suggest that the legislature, in its special legislation, knew that the wind turbines were going to be a nuisance. Is that correct?
I did not hear Mr. Duffy say that.
Okay, I heard him say that. I was just
Okay.
trying to figure that
I
out.
won't speak for Mr. Duffy, but I think he basically provided us with reference to case law that said if in fact you do have special legislation, then nuisance doesn't apply. I don't think he said at any point that the legislature knew that it was a nuisance and therefore issued it anyway. But I'll let Mr. Duffy refer to his own testimony, but I didn't hear that.
Okay, all right, okay. Then the other point I would like to make is that Mr. Duffy is suggesting that the wind turbines are only running 12 hours per day, which is true today, but Monday night, right here in this room, the selectmen are going to be looking at 4 different options for increasing the hours of operation. And one of those options is running the turbines 24 hours a day. And I just like to make that known. Then the other thing on a personal basis, you know, I live in the neighborhood with Barry Funfar, and I have occasion to meet with him. We are both on the board of directors of the Craggy Ridge Homeowners Association, and so I have occasion to meet, and I meet him on the street and in the neighborhood. And I just wanted to say that I can't remember a time in the last 3 years that the wind turbine nuisance hasn't been spoken by him and brought up by him, and it's sort of a nuisance listening to him.
Thanks, Malcolm. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Sue Hobart, 476 Blacksmith Shop Road.
Hi, Sue.
Hi. I have to say, the first thing that we said in this meeting was that this only applied to their property and their situation.
That's all we can focus on tonight.
Exactly. And I would say that there could be no better judgment, no better judges of the effect on their life than them, on what a nuisance is to them. The state can't tell you with their measurements and their DBAs and their this and that. They can't determine what a nuisance is to them. There's no way anybody but them can determine how much a nuisance it is. I know these people have spent a lot of time on the road, away from their family. They want to be home. They've made it very clear that this has changed their lives irreparably. What more could it be? Barry's PTSD was very well managed prior to the turbine. He works very hard to manage that very well. He's a wonderful grandfather. I've seen him in action. They are wonderful grandparents, and they deserve to enjoy their life now, with or without the judgment or anything from this board. They should not have to spend the rest of their lives proving the nuisance in their home to some government body or somebody making excuses for whatever reason for inflicting that upon them. You know, they have clearly proven by having to spend 3 years and tons of paper that this is a nuisance to them. I don't think they're doing this for fun.
Okay,
That's all I have to say.
thanks, Sue. Anyone else? Yes, Robbie.
Hi, Robbie Laird, Blacksmith Shop Road. I just wanted to comment on the property value issue that you're probably already well aware of this, but I would expect you to use the true value of the property, that is the value that a willing and able buyer would pay to a willing and able seller, and not the assessed value, which often does not, in fact, track the actual value of a property. That's it.
Thanks, Robbie.
Thanks.
Okay.
So was that in support of, or a comment?
Robbie, that was in support of this application or just a general comment?
Well, it's my belief that the property that was cited actually sold for less than its true value.
Okay.
But that's a different property, so I won't get into that, but
Okay.
There's two ways to look at property value, as I'm sure you know.
Okay, thanks. Todd?
Good evening, Todd Drummy, Blacksmith Shop Road. I guess a quick question may be helpful is, I have several things that I'd like to address, but I need to do some research on regarding things that were said tonight. Will it be possible to submit information after the hearing tonight?
We'll see where the board goes with this. It's something I can't answer, so
Okay.
after we listen to all the public testimony, obviously the board's going to have a bit of a discussion to see where we go. That opportunity may be provided.
Okay, because I don't think I can make a clear comment until I have some time to do some research.
Anything else?
One thing I can mention, though.
Are you in opposition or in support?
I'm along with the fun farce.
You're in support, okay.
I'm in support of the fun farce. Mr. Duffy mentioned, I think, the Hub Theaters case.
Yes.
Where Logan Airport was expanded. It had an effect on the Hub Theaters. What he neglected to mention in that case is that Logan Airport now owns the property where Hub Theaters is located. They were forced to buy that. So while nuisance may not apply, like I said, I need to do some more research on it. Logan Airport was ended up having to purchase that property because of the nuisance that was caused there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else from anyone? Okay. Any questions from the board to follow up and direct? Mr. Duffy, do you want to clarify anything, or? I know there was a question early on asked of you, or asked through me.
There was a question to me, but you answered it, actually.
That may be a first.
Okay.
So thank you. Okay. Back to the board. Obviously, the choices are, though, if the board has enough information, it can close the hearing and take action this evening. If the board needs more time to review the information submitted or wants any additional information, this is the time to ask that. And a possible continuation in order to accomplish that.
I need more time to look at the file.
Okay?
I as well. Like I mentioned to Mr. Funfire, there's a lot of information. Mr. Duffy gave us some info. I'd like to try to go over that information. It's a lot.
Scott? The one thing that, if I can, in terms of the continuation, in a previous hearing, we continued till November because of the issue of shadow flicker had arisen and we weren't able to witness it. But in this situation, the issue of shadow flicker was not necessarily brought up as a significant matter, although it was referenced in, and correct me if I'm wrong, Barry and Diane, although it was mentioned in the complaint, I think what I wrote down was it's bad, but it's not often, and it's only certain times during the year. So, I mean, I don't know whether the board or the Funfires want us to delay this until such a time as that we experience.
The Funfires are going to be away for 2.5 months, starting tomorrow, I believe. Is it tomorrow? The 18th?
Yeah.
And we do not have a hearing before the 18th.
So it's sort of a moot point. If we're continuing, it's going to be at a time that you'll obviously
Probably
want to
December.
be here.
When are you returning? In December?
Right before Thanksgiving.
Oh, before Thanksgiving.
Okay. So it sounds like the board wants to continue this, so we'll look for a date. But I'll also ask the board what additional information it may want to have, other than just the opportunity to look at the file that's there. The one thing that I would like, if possible, is any correspondence from medical people that specifically relate the wind turbines to either the conditions or the exacerbated conditions that you have. Okay. The DEP study we already have in the file now. So if there's anything, we'll look through the file completely, but if you can put your hands on anything specifically, that'd be helpful. Yes, Barry. And Barry, I hate to ask you, but because you're on television, if you'd come up.
Barry Funfire once again.
Yes.
There are 2 letters in there from a Dr. Christy Capone, who one was dated July 2nd, 2010, and another one dated, I think, September 5th, 2013, that do relate specifically and, mention the exacerbated PTSD.
Okay, good. And I think we also asked for the appraisal of the property.
I have that, made a note of that.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Anything else specifically?
Well, we talked about a sale that was made.
Well, that was a question, that was a comment that was made by Mr. Patamas, and he left.
Right,
but-
and there was no documentation. I mean,
No.
we know nothing about that.
No.
So I would say,
If he wants to
if he
submit
wants it to
that,
be considered, we gotta get more
Right.
info, otherwise.
we need to have an address in order.
Yes,
Malcolm,
and-
do you want to either get that under control or to leave?
And Mr. Drumming was going to submit some,
Well, I was just going to say, not that, we don't know what Mr. Drumming wants to
But
submit.
but I'm not sure how the question of value bears on nuisance anyway.
Well, again, the only thing I can say is that
110 states it.
the injurious to the safety and welfare of a neighborhood into which it proposes, this is on a permit, which proves injurious to the safety and welfare of the neighborhood into which it proposes to go and destructive of property values because of any
Fair enough.
excessive nuisance qualities. So,
So what date?
okay.
He gets back before Thanksgiving, but I don't like the idea of putting 2 on one night, so I'm looking at December 5th.
Yeah, I think it would be unfair to any of the applicants to have a similar matter before the board on the same night. So we've got December 10th.
No. Honey, that's October.
Oh,
I don't have
give me-
December on there. December 5th is my next one. So we need a waiver of the 100-day.
So December 5th, you're going to be, Barry, around? Diane? Okay. All right. In order for us to continue it, we're going to need a waiver that, Sri will get you tomorrow and that we can.
It's a waiver of the 100-day hearing process for an appeal. If you don't mind, it's up to you. Okay, great,
6
thank you.
o'clock? 6 o'clock?
You want to do it at 6 o'clock on the 10th?
Fine by me.
Okay.
5 o'clock's great.
Hey,
Yeah, I know. There's always one in the crowd.
Okay.
still be dark.
So I'll entertain a motion to continue this hearing until December 10th
I'll make
at
that
6
motion.
p.m.
December 10th is what we're talking?
December 10th at 6
I'll
p.m.
make that motion.
We have a motion by
Oh,
Ms.
no, excuse me, it's December 5th.
5th?
I
You keep
apologize.
confusing October 10th with
I
December.
apologize. December 5th
Yes,
at 6 p.m.
right.
Mr. Haddad made that motion. Is there a second?
Mr. Foreman seconded that.
Okay. All those in favor of continuing this hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous vote. Thank you all for your assistance, and we'll see you back on this matter on the 5th of December.
Do you want to? Huh? No, this shouldn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes. But I mean, do you feel like going over there? Want to join us?
At least it didn't.
Why, you can just blame it on us.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Okay.
Can I hold on to this? Ready to
Are
put
you
that
going
in
to
the
go over
file?
already?
No, you
You're going
can
to go over already?
Put it in the
get a
file?
copy from Sari,
When we're
okay?
done.
Thank you.
All right, we're still in business here, so the next item on our agenda is,
Okay, we got the minutes.
I've lost my agenda, so.
August 22nd?
Minutes.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of August 22nd?
There's only 3 of you that can vote on it. I don't believe Ken Foreman was, were you here?
Yes, he was. I was not,
Okay,
though,
it
so.
was you. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Yep.
see, that's the
I
one
make-
I had to chair.
That's right.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of August 22nd.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I will abstain. Okay, that's the minutes. Next, we have administrative approval regarding 22 Dartmouth Street. This was application
This-
59-12.
I'm just asking the board now to make a determination if you want to do this administratively. No, you
No.
can't.
Just
Can't
ask
close the door.
Can
Ask
ask
them
the
to be quiet. If the board believes that this request can be done administratively, or if it should be through a modification. This was 22 Dartmouth, where the applicant suggested removing the 2 sheds and the 1-car garage, and they were small sheds, because they are raising and reconstructing the house with an attached 2-car garage. Lot coverage went from 21.7 up to 24.5 through your approval.
Is this,
Now-
how long ago was it?
Now,
This was with,
about 2 years ago, no, it was
it's not even that. It's a little over
5912,
a
it was
year.
approved in August of 2012.
A little over a year.
Now they want to keep one of the sheds. So what my question to you is, do you think you should do this administratively, or do you think it should come back as a modification? I have no supporting documents. I told him that he would need to prove on the certified plot plan what the lot coverage would be. He has an issue with his certified plot plan and the way that was calculated, and he's talking to his engineers, because he feels like there was a mistake.
I'm just going to jump right in. We need to be consistent. This is coverage that is close to 25%. We have talked in the past, and I think we made somebody remove a shed on Deacon's Ave, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Yes, we did.
When
Under
somebody-
extreme protest.
Right. When you can't come in and ask for approval of lot coverage that exceeds 20% and then backdoor it
Right.
by leaving a shed in.
Oh, let me rephrase that. I apologize. That was our first discussion. When he finally contacted me, I'm sorry, I forgot about this part. My brain's not functioning. He's requesting an extension of time to remove the shed and work with the engineer. If he finds that there are mistakes in the size of the lot, based on his calculations, then he's going to request to keep the shed.
But does that void the special permit that he's already have?
It doesn't void the special permit. He still needs
Doesn't
He
that-
can't-
approval
Doesn't that
either
mean the
way.
the
He
plans?
came in, yeah.
It's
go ahead,
not
Scott.
administrative approval. I mean, you know, we gotta see the plans, what's,
Right.
you know, yeah,
That's
if
my
lot
fault for
coverage
leaving that
goes
part out.
from
I apologize.
24.5
I
to
agree with you.
22, well, that's a significant difference.
And if it
it
was
goes from
approved, though-
24.5 to 24.4, I don't think it makes any difference.
But if it was approved on a plan that wasn't correct,
Then it
That's the
would need
whole
to come
thing
back.
is-
Then it would
right.
need to come back,
Exactly.
period.
You have to
you're
come
right.
back anyway.
Okay.
So, but the question that hasn't been answered is, do we want to give him time to not remove the shed? And forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think the initial reaction was, I'm not removing the shed at all, to the point that there was going to be zoning enforcement action on this.
I had
Property.
discussed that with the contractor, told him if it came to that, I would have to turn it over to the zoning enforcement agent. Then he came into the office and discussed his issues with me, and that is relative to his site plan. He feels the lot size is engineered wrong. Either way, I think what the board just concluded to me is it needs a modification. Therefore, he doesn't need an extension of time because he'll have that time, but he does have to apply for a modification.
Before he leaves.
So I
Exactly.
think that solves the
Okay,
problem.
perfect. Okay. Just moving then quickly, status of the bylaw review. Sari and I had the opportunity to meet with Julian 2 days ago, I think it was.
Yes,
And he indicated that nothing has happened. And that he will initiate a conversation with Frank Duffy.
Is that, I mean,
I'm sorry.
He had,
what is the, how is it being affected?
Town meeting approved $35,000, and it was under the jurisdiction of the town manager. We certainly had asked that something happen. July 1, the money became available, but nothing has happened. And even when I went to the Finance Committee, the Finance Committee said, come back if you need more money for town
But
meeting.
not even a request for,
Nothing, RFP.
they did briefly discuss it, and
Who's
Julian
they?
had just been reminded of it somehow.
the selectmen?
And he realized that day that when we were talking to him, he said that he had just remembered that and they.
But I'm trying to figure out
It's
who,
the process that he's asking the question of what's the process going to be? RFP who's
who
gonna be
puts the
involved?
RFP
The
out?
town
Who judge-
manager's office.
Okay.
No, now it will be Jennifer Pettit. She's
Yep.
the financial director. so I
Well,
believe-
all I can say to you is that the article at town meeting was passed with it being spent under the jurisdiction of the town manager's office. Whether he delegates it to Jennifer Petit or not, but it's the town manager.
Who starts the ball rolling?
And then the drafting of the RFP itself,
Right.
That's Jennifer Pettit, I believe.
Right.
because that's pretty,
As a procurement officer. has to do
right,
it.
but, you know, this needs to also be clear on what it is we're after.
Well, we did take the opportunity to reinforce that we felt it was critical that an attorney with zoning experience
Right.
be the person doing this. And that's all.
I think
That's
the
where
planning
Frank
board,
comes in.
Matt made that point, which was something the board had discussed.
And the planning board was in on it. They
And
wanted-
exactly, we referenced the planning board, joint meeting that we had with the planning board that also agreed with that.
Yeah.
So, we'll keep
Maybe he's
on
got to
it.
run it up the flagpole. I don't know.
I think that's exactly what he said, didn't he, Matt?
No, that was in a different meeting on a different subject.
Okay.
So that's it. With nothing else to come before the meeting, I will adjourn it. Thank you very much.
Sure.